In today's world, almost everybody heard the word yoga. If you want to do some yoga poses, there are probably dozens of different yoga studios in every major city. So if you live in some big city, probably there will be no problem with practicing yoga. You will have this opportunity. But what if I tell you that yoga is dying? And it is fading away so fast that probably in a few years we will never see it alive. And what is the problem? What happened? I'm talking about the classical yoga as it existed hundreds of years ago, and it has changed, to say the least, if we compare what we practice today with what yogis and yoginis practiced hundreds of years ago. And in the series of lectures, we try to show you what is the difference between the modern conception of yoga with what had been practiced a while ago. And in today's lecture, I'm going to talk about Garudasana in primary sources. My name is Alex Vijaya, and I'm an open yoga teacher. And let's join me in this wonderful research. I'm going to share my screen with you and I'm going to show you my presentation. And in this presentation, you will see what Garudasana looked like in different primary sources. And there are different references in my presentation. And I hope you will take some notes because I think this information will be new and interesting for you. And I have never really seen any work that deals exactly with each pose. We collect different references to different poses in different primary sources. This lecture is about Garuda's pose or Garudasana. So this is what this pose looks like. If we go to some yoga studio, if we open, I don't know, some yoga journal, probably you will see this picture. Also, I want to extend my gratitude to my friend, to Anna Gotra. We help each other building this presentation, and without her, this work would have never been accomplished. So many thanks to her. This what it looks like, this pose, twisted uh, legs, entwined arms, so the usual pose. And first of all, let's consider the question, does the word Garuda really mean eagle pose? In some popular pamphlets, in some popular journals, you will find the translation of this pose as eagle pose, but it's not quite correct. The word Garuda, it's a name. It's not equal to the word eagle. Eagle in Sanskrit is Shyana and a few other words. Here's an excerpt from Monier Williams' Sanskrit dictionary. So the word Garuda means devourer, because Garuda was perhaps originally identified with the all-consuming fire of the sun's rays. So this is the opinion of Monier Williams. Also, it's a name of a mythical bird. And actually, this is a Vahana or a carrier of Vishnu. This what basically, or this is who basically Garuda is. And there are different translations here, and you can see them on your screen. And if you want to remember them better, you can take notes and write them down. This is the bibliography which we used and primary sources which we used. Basically, all our study is based on the references in the book by M.L. Karote. This book is entitled Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas. So we took different references from this book. We found those references, we found those books to which this book is referred to. And we try to find those texts and collect all information about this particular pose. Also, we used available treatises, as I have already said, and primary sources where asanas are mentioned and described. Most of them are in English and Sanskrit. The next slide is the list of texts from the book Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas. Here is the references in this book, and here is the complete list of all treatises which we could collect from the Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas. In parentheses, you can see the probable dating of this pose. So, for example, Kiranda Samhita dates back to the 17th century, and you can see here on the screen in parentheses. And here is the age of different uh, treatises. So let's look at some other pictures. This is the picture of Garuda. On the left, Vishnu and Lakshmi miniature painting, 1770. This is the year of this painting. On the right, images of Garuda on one of the temples in Indonesia. On the left, Garuda's in a Buddhist temple in Thailand. On the right, it's a Vishnu temple in India. On the left, National Museum of India, Delhi. On the right, Tibetan Tanka. So there are different traditions, and they depict Garuda in their own particular way. So here are, again, different variations of this pose. And as you can see, all of them look more or less the same. But in this presentation, you will learn that there are different Garuda poses which differ in their performance completely. So they have absolutely nothing in common except for their name. Here is the translation of the word Shiana, which practically can be translated as the word eagle or whatever. The word Shiana means the white color, whiteness, hawk, falcon, violence, a horse. So basically, the word eagle sometimes is translated as the word Shiana too. Example, the swoop of a hawk or an eagle here, Shiana Pada. And so, descriptions and types of Garudasana in text. According to the materials of Karote, this type of this pose can be found in the following texts. So here we deal with the first variation of Garudasana. There are many variations. This is the first one on the bottom left here. As you can see, it looks nothing like we saw in the previous slides. Kiranda Samhita 2.37, Prihat Yoga Sopana 3.44, and Hatha Yoga Samhita 44. We can find this variation of this pose. So what about Hatha Yoga Samhita? We could not find this text. So we rely on the opinion of Karote in his book Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas. So let's talk about the texts in which we could find this variation of Garudasana. On Kiranda Samhita from James Mallinson translations of this text of Kiranda Samhita. There are no records of the place and date of composition of the text, but there are indications that it is a relatively late work on Hatha Yoga from northeast India. The majority of its manuscripts are found in the north and east of India. And of those which are dated, the oldest was copied in Bengal in 1802 current era. As far as I'm aware, that is James Mallinson, it was never cited by medieval commentators in their works on Hatha Yoga. The 7 chapters correspond to the 7 means of perfecting the person. The second chapter describes 22 asanas by which strength, the second means, is attained. So another book, Brihat Yoga Supana by Ram Naresh Mishra Shastri. On the left, here is the front page. On the right, also, you can see the title of this book in Sanskrit, Brihat Yoga Sopana, or in Hindi probably. It's written the same. So what do these texts tell us? On the left, from the Hiranda Samhita, firmly fixing the legs and the thighs on the ground, keeping the body steady with the help of the two knees. Place hands on the knees. This is called Garudasana. And from Brihat Yoga Sopana, it is almost identical. So the Sanskrit is almost identical, with an exception of a few words. It's important that there is no reference as to what the position of legs should be. Nowadays, this position more or less resembles Virasana. So what we have read in Hiranda Samhita, it looks more like Virasana as we know it today, but not Garudasana. But it is entitled in the text as Garudasana. You see, Garudasanam Uchyate is called Garudasana in Sanskrit. The description from Brihat Yoga Sopana is almost identical to that of Hiranda Samhita, except for the word pair of hands, yugma, that is pair. In Brihat Yoga Sopana and Dvandva is Hiranda Samhita. So Dvandva basically means the same, pair, double, whatever, two. The next text, which we could lay our hands on, is Sri Tattvanitya, probably 19th century, so rather modern text, not that very old. The translation of the title of this text looks like this: The Illustrious Treasure of Realities. It's a treatise written in the 19th century in Karnataka on the iconography and iconometry of divine figures in South India. One of his sections includes instructions for and illustrations of 122 Hatha Yoga postures. The Sri Tattvanidhi is attributed to the then Maharaja of Mysore, Krishna Raja Vadiyar III. He was born in 1794 and he died in 1868. The Maharaja was a great patron of art and learning and was himself a scholar and writer. An original copy of this colossal work is available in the Oriental Research Institute at the University of Mysore. Another copy is in the possession of the royal family of Mysore. An unedited version with text in Devanagari script was published around 1900 by Kamaraj Krishnadas of Sri Venkateshwar Steam Press, Bombay. Now it's Mumbai. In recent times, the Oriental Research Institute has published 3 volumes of this text of Sri Tattvanidhi. They're called Shakti Nidhi, Vishnu Nidhi, and Shiva Nidhi. Another important work on the subject is by the scholar of Sanskrit and Hatha Yoga, Norman Sjöman. His 1996 book, The Yoga Tradition of the Mysore Place, presents the first English translation of the Kautuka Nidhi in the Sri Tattvanidhi, which provides instructions for and illustrations of 122 postures performed by a yogini in a top knot and loincloth. So we took this information from Wikipedia, from the article on Sri Tattvanidhi. So here is the description of this pose from Sri Tattvanidhi, how it is performed. On the right and on the left, you see the picture. You see the picture on the left. So Sri Tattvanidhi is written in Kannada, in the Kannada language, and the following is the description of Garudasana from this treatise. Stand upright on the ground, take hold of the left foot and place its outer side at the root of the right thigh. Bend the right leg a little in the knee and bring the left knee close to the right ankle. fold the hands on the chest. So we took this translation from Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas. So here is the second variation of this pose. The same variation is described Kapala Korantaka Hathabhyasa Padhati 93. This is the numbering of verses. Sri Tattvanitya 39, as I have already said and showed you. Rudra Yamalam Uttara Tantram 23rd whatever chapter from verses 98 to 100. And Yoga Asana Mala Sachitra 90, we could not verify this because we could not find the text. So we could not find the text Yoga Asana Mala Sachitra. So next slide. Another text is Hatha Abhyasa Padhati by Kapala Korantaka. What do we know about this text? It's a text presumably from the 18th century. It's translated as Manual on the Practice of Hatha Yoga. It contains descriptions of 112 asanas, the majority of which are not found in other yoga texts. Although the terminus quo of the Hatha Abhyasa Padhati remains unknown, the text is unlikely to predate the 18th century because, as far as we are aware, it has not been cited in any compendium or work on yoga composed before that time. The Hatha Abhyasa Padhati may have been composed in Maharashtra, or at the very least, it was composed by someone who knew the local language of that area. We took this information from the Journal of Yoga Studies 2019, Volume 2, published on the 29th of December 2019. The manuscript gives instructions for 10 different rope poses. You see, there is an interesting moment. There is a use of ropes in this treatise. It is one of the few surviving texts which contains rope poses. The Sri Tattvanitya is another. Birch notes that Krishnamacharya also used rope poses in the 20th century, attributing them to a lost document, the Yoga Kurunta. Birch asks whether the name of that document was based on the name of the author of the Hathabhyasa Padhati, Kapala Korantaka. This is the name of this author of Hathabhyasa Padhati, Kapala Korantaka. This is its treatise's author. And probably Yoga Karunta is somehow related to the author of this text, but this remains unknown. So here is the image of this treatise from the work by Jason Birch and Mark Singleton in the Journal of Yoga Studies. So you see the manuscript. It's a Mysore manuscript. There are two manuscripts. One of them is from Pune and the other is from Mysore. So here is the Pune manuscript. This is how it looks like. You see, it's completely different. And here is how the pose, which we call Garudasana, is described in the 93rd verse. Having placed the ankle along with the little toe of one foot at the base of the other thigh, and having placed the knee of the lotus leg on the heel of the other foot, the yogi should remain thus and join his hands together. This is Garuda's pose. Another text which we deal with is Rudra Yamala. We could not verify the dating of this text, where exactly it was written or when exactly it was written, but we have some assumptions that I am willing to share with you. Among the Bhairava Tantras, there are a group of 8 Tantras known as the Yamala Tantras, which relates to Trayata in a very foundational level. Trayata means Trika tradition. The word Yamala means union, so Rudra Yamala Tantra literally means the Tantra of union between Rudra and his Shakti. Otherwise understood as the union between the consciousness and the energy. The Vijnana Bhairava Tantra, or for short VBT, forms a part of the Rudra Yamala Tantra. The Rudra Yamala is used as a source by many other agamas, but the original appears to be lost. Strictly speaking, a Yamala is a different class of text and supposed to predate the Tantras. However, manuscripts of the Yamala seem to be lost, except as quotations in later works. The VBT is the epitome of Rudra Yamala Tantra. So we found this information in the proceedings of the 17th World Sanskrit Conference in Vancouver, Canada, which took place in July of 2018. So you can find this information there. But we have another information which tells us a little bit different information. For example, on this Russian website, we could find that it is written that this text consists of 66 chapters. So apparently it's not lost if we have this many chapters. It's published by Vacha Sampati Press in Kolkata. It dates, it is dated as a 12th or 13th century text, and it is part of VBT, Vijnana Bhairava Tantra. We were able to obtain this text in print, so it looks like it's not lost at all. There are even different editions of this text. So here is an excerpt from this text from Rudra Yamala. I could find it online. On the left, it is even published as a book. So if you go to this link, you will find translation, you will find manuscripts of Rudra Yamala. Publication date is probably the 19th century. So the manuscript itself can have one dating, and the text means the content of what is written there can be written in a completely different age. So the publication is this age, this century, and the text may be 12th century, 13th century, and so on. So Rudra Yamalam Tara Tantra 23 colon 98 to 100 enjoins to place the hands behind the back, joined in Samhara Mudra. We will learn later what Samhara Mudra means. Literal translation from Sanskrit, one possible translation. So although I know Sanskrit, but for me it's kind of difficult to translate those kind of texts because they're not clear. It's not enough to know Sanskrit to translate Sanskrit. You need to belong to some parampara. You need to belong to some disciplic succession which explains this text. So some disciplic successions don't explain different texts or some texts. But at this moment, I don't have the meaning from some disciplic succession from for this text. And so I can translate as far as I can do it. Oh, Mahabali, I will give instructions, the posture which is useful for practice of dhyana on the ground anchored body position. Dhyana can be loosely translated as meditation. The health benefit of this practice is freedom from all internal doshas. Basically, it means what kind of diseases. So this is a posture done sitting on the ground. The practitioner has to raise one foot at the chest level and the other foot like a stick straight, whatever it means. Positioned between the joints of Jankha, that is thigh joint, Sankhidesha of Jankapada, whatever it means. The mind of the practitioner must be set on dhyana for the goal of jnana. The hands need to have the technique of Samhara Mudra on the back of the body. The posture needs to be performed after worshipping Yoganatha with a devotional feeling. I'm a devotee of Ishvara. So if you can translate it better, you're more than welcome to contact me at alexvijaya@gmail.com. You can write to this email. Rudra Yamala text with Hindi commentaries by Malaviya Sudhakar. So we not only have the text itself, but also we have a Hindi commentary on it by some Malaviya Sudhakara. The upper part is Sanskrit, and this bottom part is translation. This bottom part is a commentary in Hindi. That's what the Hindi commentary says. If one leg is kept on the femur and the other leg is standing as a stick, then Garudasana would have been done. If one foot is kept in the place of the thigh and the other foot is kept standing like a stick, then he becomes systematic but enlightened. After doing this asana, worship of Yoganath and Sarveshwar should be done by a practitioner with Samhara Mudra. Again, if you can translate it better than me, then you are more than welcome to contact me. On the right, you can see what Samhara Mudra is. So this is a particular position of hands. So at the time, we could not find the text Yoga Asana Mala Sachitra. According to the information from Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas by M.L. Karote, a manuscript Yoga Asana Mala Sachitra number 5450 can be found in Rajasthan Oriental Research Institute in Jodhpur. So you can find it there if you like. It was written by Jaitaram, copied by Swami Shobharama of Katipur on Shuddha 5th on Wednesday in Samvat 1846. It contains 108 asanas, all illustrated and described. Some of the 12 asanas are repeated. Many of the asanas are described by Yoga Pradipika by Jaitarama. Yoga Pradipika, we will deal with this text a little bit later, and you will see what this text tells us. Another variant of Garudasana is described in Yoga Pradipika, as I have already said, 290 up to 293. In Yoga, Asana Mala Sachitra, 72. Asana Yoga Grantha 66, Yoga Pradipika, London manuscript, number 24,099, 63. Here, what it says: sit on the ground, bend the left leg and place its ankle under the anus, then place the right foot close to the side of the left knee and calf, keeping its knee raised. Place the hands on respective knees and direct the gaze at the tip of the nose. We could not find the text Asana Yoga Grantha at this moment and verify this information, so we completely rely on the information contained in Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, which we base our presentation upon. A manuscript of Asana Yoga Grantha is deposited in the Maharaja Man Singh II Museum in Jaipur. In this manuscript, 84 asanas are described, but from number 1 to 37 asanas are missing. The text is written in Samvat 1801 in Vaishakha Shuddha on the 14th day, and copied by Raghunath Hadasa in Samvat 1801, that is in Christian era 1758. So probably the difference between Samvat and Christian era about 57 years. So you can subtract from any Samvat year 57 years and you will have Christian era. on Vaishakha Navami. It's a lunar day, the 9th day in the month of Vaishakha. Yoga Asana Mala Sachitra, manuscript number 5450, from Rajasthan Oriental Research Institute in Jodhpur, written by Jaitaram, copied by Swami Shubharama on Katipur on Shuddha the 5th on Wednesday in this year, 1789 Christian era. It contains 108 asanas, all illustrated and described. Some of the 12 asanas are repeated. Many of the asanas are described in Yoga Pradipika by Chaitarama. So we have already learned it in some previous slide. Here is what is known about Yoga Pradipika. It is sometimes pronounced Yoga Pradipyaka. It's a text of the 18th century. It is translated as a small light on yoga. It's a Hatha Yoga text by Ramanandi Jayatarama, written in 1737 in a mixture of Hindi, Braj Bhasha, Khariboli, and forms close to Sanskrit. It presents 6 cleansing methods, 84 asanas, 24 mudras, and 8 kumbhakas. The text is illustrated in an 1830 manuscript with 84 paintings of asanas prepared about 100 years after the text. The description of 84 asanas occupies 314 out of 964 verses in the 1737 version. Most of the asanas are said to bring therapeutic benefits. All of them ask the practitioner to direct the gaze, that is, drishti, at the point between the eyebrows or at the end of the nose. So I took this information from Wikipedia. And here is what Yoga Pradipika says about this pose. So here is another variant. Bend the left leg and place its ankle under the anus, then place the right foot close by the side of the left knee and calf, keeping the knee raised. Place the hands on the knees and direct the gaze at the nose. This is Garudasana. And here what this text looks like. So it's not really Sanskrit. It's more like Hindi, whatever. And you can verify it for yourself. So variant 4. The modern and popular variant of this asana is described in the following text, according to M.L. Karota. Here you see the name or the title of the text, and here you can see where exactly it is described, which chapter, which verse. Sachitra Charayasin Asane, Hatha Pradipika manuscript with 6 chapters. Sachitra Yavaharika Yoga, Yoga Marga Pradipa, Kiranatika, Yogasanam, Sachitra, Shri Yoga Kaustubha, Yoga Siddhanta Chandrika, Yoga Rahasya by Srinath Muni and Mala Purana. We will talk later about this text in greater detail. The general description from several texts is as follows. So if we collect all translations of this text, if we collect all descriptions, so we can find some average description, which looks more or less the same. Stand straight with feet together, then raise the left leg. Bend a little in the right knee and cross the right thigh with the left leg. Then bend the left knee further and encircle the right leg. Encircle the hands and place them in front of the mouth. And it's interesting to know that it is said in the text to encircle the right leg with the left. Which arm should encircle, which is not said. This asana can be performed both to the left side and to the right. So sometimes different yoga instructors argue with each other how exactly the legs and the arms should be encircled, should be entwined. And here you can see there is no such particular reference to which arm should cover which. So, Kiranatika, what is this text? Probably it's a 20th century text. Besides pose description, this text also suggests to touch the nostrils with respective fingers. Here is a screenshot of this commentary on Yoga Sutras. Basically, it's a commentary on the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali by Sri Krishna Vallabhacharya. Garudasana is as follows: standing on the right foot and having placed the left foot over the knee and thigh of the right leg. Touch the right ankle with the big toe of the left leg. Also bend both arms at the elbows and entwine them. Touch the left nostril with the fingers of the left hand and touch the right nostril with the fingers of the right hand. This Garuda-like position is Garudasana. Another text, Mala Purana. It's hard to date this text, but nevertheless, there are some opinions that say it's a text of the 13th century. This text is presumably of the 13th, maybe 15th century, whatever, describing techniques of wrestling and mentioning asanas without their description. According to Alter, it characterizes and classifies types of wrestlers, defines necessary physical characteristics, describes types of exercise and techniques of wrestling, as well as the preparation of the wrestling pit, and provides a fairly precise account of which foods wrestlers should eat in each session of the year. The scholar practitioner Norman Syaman states that the Malapurana describes 16 types of exercises for wrestling. He notes, it is Norman Syaman, he notes that the Malapurana names 18 asanas, including Simhasana, Kurmasana, Kukurasana, Garudasana, and Shurshasana. And here at the bottom, you can see the reference to Garudasana. However, it's not described. It's only the name, Garudasana. You see here the last word, Gaja, that it means Gajasana, I guess. Padmasanam, the second word, Kuryat, should do. Simho, api, that is Simhasana. Garudasanam, that is Garudasana. So a practitioner should do Garudasana. Phanasanam, Mriga, that is Mrigasanam, I guess. Kuryat. Kuryat means should do. Vrisha, Vrishasana, and Kukurasanam. So just names of different poses without any description. Another interesting text, which has its own unique history, is Natha Muni's Yoga Rahasya. This text is written, we cannot say for sure when, but there are different legends that say it is written in the 9th century by Natha Muni, who heard it as an ancient rishi, did sometimes heard the Vedic knowledge, and it was forgotten, and it was later put to writing by Krishnamacharya in the 20th century. So you see, almost 11 centuries apart. Natha Muni, a 9th century yogi and Vaishnavite saint, there is much mystery that surrounds this text. It's believed that Sri Natha Muni received these yoga instructions in a state of meditative trance from Sri Namalvar, who lived many centuries earlier. Further, it is believed that the Yoga Rahasya once again vanished through mysterious circumstances and was thought to be lost forever. Strangely, it was once again revived by the legendary yogi Tirumalai Krishnamacharya in the early part of the 20th century in a manner similar to how Srinath Hamuni received them in the first place. You see on the left, you see the front page of this book translated by T.K.V. Deshikachar. So here is an excerpt where exactly this pose is mentioned. On the left, you see Garudasana from this book, chapter 2, shloka 16. Uttana Kurmasana, Simhasana, the third word, Garudasana, or maybe the fourth word, the third pose, Garudasana. Again, you see without any description, just Garudasana, the name. Vatayanasana, Gumukhasana, Bharadvajasana, and Trivikramasana. Trivikramasana. Another interesting text, and this description is my favorite, and you will see why. Yoga Siddhanta Chandrika by Narayana Tirtha. So different sources tell different date of this text. I heard that this text was dated back to the 14th century, and in another source I found the reference to this text is made as a text of the 17th century. So take your pick and decide for yourself which one is closer to reality. It's a commentary on Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. The Yoga Sutra of Patanjali, a biography by David Gordon White, says it's a 17th century text, 17th century text, whereas Andrew Safronov says it was written in 1350. Here is a link to Safronov's article where he posits it's written in 1350. So quite a big divide. Karot in Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas say, Harot in Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas says that the popular version is described in the text Yoga Siddhanta Chandrika, but we could not find only this description. Description is not enough to know how to do this pose. Just hold your breath. Garudasana is Garuda's position. Just take it or leave it. Do as you like. However you see Garuda's position, this is Garudasana, whatever. And on the right, you can see the front page of Yoga Siddhanta Chandrika. This text is published, but I did not see its translation into English or any other language. So it's only in Sanskrit at this moment. But if you can find this in English, please send it to me. So here is a reference to some other texts, but we could not procure all of them. And you can see the list of those texts. We cannot procure the following texts in which, according to Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, variant 4 is described. Sachitra Charyasin Asane, Hatha Pradipika manuscript with 6 chapters, also known as Siddhanta Muktavali. Sachitra Vyavaharika Yoga, Yoga Marga Pradipa. And here is a short description of what this text really are about. So Sachitra Charyasin Asane, it's in Marathi. Marathi is a language. Kahanaji Haram Singh, I guess it's an editor. Karnataka Printing Press, Mumbai, 1899, describes in detail 97 asanas fully illustrated. Sachitra Vyavaharika Yoga by Mahajan, Panduranga Gopal Bal, Loksevak Press, Govardhan House, Girgaon, Bombay, 1923. Another text, and we could not find this too. Hatha Pradipika consists of 6 chapters. So probably you know there was Hatha Pradipika, which consists of 4 chapters, but this one consists of 6 chapters. Also, there is a text which consists of 10 chapters. So there are different Hatha Pradipikas, also known as Siddhanta Muktavali or Muktavali. Manuscript number 6756. You can find it in Rajasthan Prachavidya Pratishthan, Jodhpur. Yogasanam Sachitra, manuscript number 63548 slash 1.15294, deposited in the Rajasthan Prachavidya Pratishthan, Bikaner. It contains 108 illustrations of asanas, but only 17 asanas are described in Hindi. Yogasanam Sachitra Garudasana is not described in the version that is available in public domain in the journal Yoga Mimamsa. So if you want to find description of Garudasana in Yoga Asanam, in this text, you can refer to the journal Yoga Mimamsa and you can find Garudasanas there, but I guess it's paid. It's not available for free. Another interesting text, which is entitled Matsyendra Samhita by Matsyendranath. I tried to find the dating of this text, and there is a great divide in different centuries. Some say it's the 7th century, 10th century, and 13th century. So, and here is the short description of Matsyendra Samhita. Debabrata Sun Sharma, professor of Sanskrit at Kurukshetra University and a leading authority on the Trika philosophical system, says that this tantric text, dealing with yogic practices of the Kaula school, one of the Trika schools, remained in the institute unknown and unnoticed, as its name does not appear in any published catalogue of Sanskrit manuscripts or in any work on the history of Sanskrit literature. Sylvain Levy places Matsyendra in the 17th century, so this text belongs to him, so I guess this text was written in the 7th century. Professor Bakshi places the author of this text in the 10th century and S.K. Chatterjee in the 13th century. So there's a big difference in ages. And here is what Matsyendra Samhita says about this pose. Chapter 3, verses 28 to 30. In this variant, one should cross one's feet and then put the knees on the ground. Elbows are placed on the knees and hands are folded in salutation. Chin is pressed against the throat. Eyes are fixed at the tip of the nose. On the left, you can see what it looks like. On the right, you can see the reference. If you know Sanskrit better than me, then you can translate it yourself. Another variant is described in Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas with reference to the following texts: Sachitra Charyasan Asane 45, Yoga Kaustubha 34, Yoga Marga Pradipa 47. We could find Sri Yoga Kaustubha. We partly could find Yoga Marga Pradipa, only the chapter which does not contain the description of Garudasana. And we could not find Sachitra Charyasan Asane. If you know where this text can be found, please send it to me at alexvijaya@gmail.com. In this variant of the asana, one stands on feet and stoops down. Hands are placed behind the head by bending at the elbows. Sachitra Charyasan Asana 45 and Yoga Marga Pradip 47 describe both variants 4 and 6 according to the Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, but we do not have this text on hand, so we cannot attest to either. So probably there is a mistake in Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, so it looks like the same Sanskrit text described completely different poses. Probably there is a mistake in this publication, but we cannot say for sure what has really happened. Sri Yoga Kaustubha by Sharma Nathuram. Probably it's a 20th century book. On the left, you can see its front page or its title page, published by Sadhe Bala Krishna Vishnu, 3 to 6, Shanivar Pet in Pune. In 1914, we could not find. We could find only um, it's about Yoga Marga Pradipa. This passage. So Sri Yoga Kaustubha is written in the Gujarati language by Sharma Sri Nathurama, 6th edition in 1942. It describes 108 asanas. The title of this page is on the left, the title page, and Sri Yoga Kaustubha by Sharma Nathuraman is from the 20th century, as well as Yoga Marga Pradipa by Bhima Avadhuta. It's also a very modern text. It is published in 1914. Published by Sadhe Balakrishna Vishnu 3 to 6 Shanivar Pit Pune. We could find only a part of this book, but Garudasana is not described in this part. Front page of this book is on the right. You see on the right the title page. Reference to Garudasana in Sri Yoga Kaustubha in the Gujarati language. Here what it looks like, description of Garudasana on the bottom. And here is the translation. So I don't know Gujarati language, so I needed some help, and I still need some help now. If you know Gujarati, you can translate it better and help me to join my team of translators. Also, if you know Sanskrit, it would be also a very big uh, asset. While standing, turning body waist toward east or front, because in Sanskrit is or in Gujarati and Sanskrit they're both mean the same, front or east. While standing, turning body waist toward east or front and turning to arms from elbow toward west or back is called Garudasana. It's called Garudasana, another translation. It's a Google translation, actually. The first one is human, the second one is Google translation. It is called Garudasana to bend the body with both hands facing east, that is, or front, from the elbow to the west or back while standing. So another translation, take your pick which one you like better, and you can apply it. Another text which we could come across, it's called Manasolasa by King Someshwara. It is written probably in the 12th century. It's a journal treatise on royal fine arts and leisure and contains a detailed description of the art of wrestling. Rai, 1984, has referred to this text as the Wrestler's Gita, since it is both a practical and philosophical account of wrestling as a science, an art, and a way of life. However, aside from Rai, Atreya, and a few other academic wrestlers, not many contemporary wrestlers know of this text. Although more detailed than other texts, Manasolasa only gives the names of moves and exercises but does not provide descriptions. Garudasana is considered a Vaishnava variant of asana in Manasolasa 9.25. You see, I have this text on my hands, but I could not really figure out the numbering of different chapters and verses. So it's really hard for me which volume, which verse, whatever. I could not really figure it out. So you gotta give it the benefit of the doubt, so to speak. Kakasana. So Kakasana in some treatises described as looking like Garudasana, but it is named differently. You see, it looks like Garudasana, but it is named Kakasana. Kakan is crow in Sanskrit. Hatha Pranipika, aka also known as Siddhanta Muktavali manuscript, contains 4 chapters, and in the chapter 2, verses 97 to 98, according to Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, describes Kakasana, which looks like the popular version of Garudasana. In a standing position, encircle the left leg with the right and place the right foot over the left and sit like a cock. Place the 2 hands on the knees and direct the gaze at the nose. We cannot find it in public domain. The manuscript number 6756 is deposited in Jodhpur, Rajasthan, Prachavidya Pratishthan. So you can take a look yourself. So another interesting place where we could find different Garudasanas in the Central Museum of Jaipur, but it's not really texts, it's little figurines. This museum is also called the Albert Hall Museum of Jaipur. And what does this museum contain? The Albert Hall Museum of Jaipur, whose main vision is to collect, protect, and preserve the industrial arts and handicrafts of India, has a gallery dedicated to such pottery works. Its impressive collection contains a selection of sadhus, performing a variety of seated, inverted, and dynamic asanas. Below are a few of these miniature clay figurines that can be dated to the late 19th century. Dr. M.L. Karote of the Lonavala Yoga Institute, India, documented the complete collection, which includes 100 asana miniatures in his book, Encyclopedia of Traditional Asanas, 2006, which we base our presentation upon, by the way. So Karote notes that the Jaipur Central Museum, also known as the Albert Hall Museum, commenced its collection in August 1881, and that its catalogue, which was first published by the Imperial Medical Hall Press in 1896, includes descriptions of these figurines by Pandit Lakshmi Nath Shastri, Principal Sanskrit College, Jaipur. We took this information from this link. The Luminescent Journal, by the way, it's an interesting source for yoga knowledge. which you can apply in your life. It may really come in handy. Actually, interesting information there. That's what Central Museum of Jaipur looks like. And here are figurines which are related in some way to Garudasana, which we are talking about today. Arutha Garudasana. Arutha means mounted. So I guess it's a mounted eagle or mounted Garuda, mounted somewhere, perched maybe on some whatever branch. In seated position, raise both legs and place them behind the neck. Place one hand on the knee and the other hand on the chest. Jaipur Central Museum, 7189. So it's just description of the figurine. It's not really a description from the text. And on the right, you can see Artha Garuda Bheda. So Artha means half, Garuda means Garuda, Bheda means difference, division, part, whatever. So it's really hard to translate what it means, but maybe you can give it a try. In a seated position, place both heels into respective armpits. Hold your knees with the hands. Jaipur Central Museum, 7192. So let's talk about uh, more or less modern description. Garudasana in the 20th century. Swami Shivananda, here are the dates of his life. That's when he was born, and that's when he died. In the Yoga Asanas, his text editions, here are different editions, different texts. They range from 1931 up to 2004. And here what Shivananda says about Garudasana. Eagle pose. When this asana is demonstrated, it resembles the appearance of Garuda the eagle. Hence, it is called Garudasana. First, stand up quite straight. Place the right leg straight on the ground. Raise up your left leg and take it round the right leg. The left thigh should cross the right thigh, just as the creeper encircles or winds around a tree. So also the left leg should wind around the right leg. Keep hands or arms also likewise, one arm winding round the other. The palms of the hands should touch each other. Make the fingers like the beak of an eagle. Keep the hands just in front of the face. Change the legs and hands alternately. When you stand, as instructed above, and steadily bend and try to touch the ground with the toe of the leg that encircles. Then alone you can get the maximum benefits of this asana. You can take the help of somebody when you bend down. Both the legs have to bend. You can do basti, cleansing the bowels with water in this asana. So as you can see, the closer we come to the present age, the bigger and more winded discussion, more winded description it becomes. So the closer we get to the present age, the more words you can find in the description. So descriptions become bigger, more wordy, and here is the difference. In the past, there were more terse and laconic, and at the present times there are wordy and they have a lot of strange, sometimes really descriptions. It's not really clear what they are based upon. So, Tirumalai Krishnamacharya, sometimes people call him the father of modern Hatha Yoga because three of his most prominent disciples took Hatha Yoga to the West, and basically, we all know about yoga basically due to his three disciples. And basically, he taught them all. There is only a reference to Gurudasana in Yoga Rahasya, but there is no description. So Krishnamacharya wrote Yoga Rahasya. Maybe there is a description of Gurudasana in some other works by Krishnamacharya, but I could not find any references to Gurudasana in Krishnamacharya's works. If you know of such reference, please refer it to me at alexvijaya@gmail.com and I will take a look at them. So, argument about arms in Garudasana. Modern yoga instructors view differently the question of the position of the arms. Entwine your arms as you can, one opinion. Observe symmetry, the left arm entwines the right, the same with the legs. So, another opinion. Vice versa. One type of instructors are foaming at the mouth to prove their point to the other party. As you can see, it's not that important which arms entwines which arm entwines which. So you can examine what I have already said. You can see what different acharyas say, what different uh, teachers describe it like. You can see also what the text say, and you can examine for yourself that sometimes there is a difference between what the teachers say. Sometimes the description is too wordy, and sometimes even these words are unnecessary, and the text say some different things. So here, which in here is different pictures of Garudasana from different texts, which we collected in one slide. So in conclusion, this pose eventually won. So this position, you see, there is no really proper right for this pose to win. So they all have one um, priority over each other. So they all are equal, but somehow or other, this particular pose won. When you entwine your arms, you stand and you entwine your legs. In the same way with many different concepts in yoga. For example, why do we have six chakras? It's just a historical moment. Different texts describe another system of chakras, and there are different systems which describe not only six chakras but additional chakras on, or we have less chakras. And so it's only a historical reason why we have six chakras, the most popular version. In the same way, Garudasana is the same. We have Garudasana like this only due to historical reasons. So it's uh, it's just food for thought. So just it is to encourage you to think, not just practice, but think what you do. Why do you do all these things? Why do you do this pose exactly like this? So if you want to learn more about our project, you can contact me at alexvijaya@gmail.com. You can watch my videos on my YouTube channel at Alex Vijaya. This is the title of my YouTube channel. Also, you can watch lectures on yoga in Russian by Anna Gotra. Anna Gotra is her YouTube channel. And especially, I would be very glad to see you as my partner, as my colleague, as we join together and try to dig out the classical yoga which was practiced hundreds of years ago. And if you want to help me, also I can help you in any way possible. What I know, what I have discovered, I can also provide this information to you. And I hope we will become partners and you will join our team. And if you want to know more about this project, just write to me at alexvijaya@gmail.com. If you want to study yoga for free, you can go to yogaopenyoga.com. It's an English version. And for the Russian version, you can go to opennyoga.class.com. So I hope to see you next time. I hope there will be more videos on the subject and more people I hope will join in this project, and we will discover the original yoga at last. Thank you very much. My name is Alex Vijaya, and I will see you next time.